the agenda?
I will approve.
I will.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, excellent. Um, so next on the is Eunice was kind enough and always diligent to send out the minutes. If you've had an opportunity to review the minutes, the give you an opportunity, and then somebody can make a motion to either approve the minutes or amend it, et cetera, et cetera. So,
I approved the minutes. I read them already.
all right. So
You
that's
make
a
the
motion to
I'll
approve.
second. I'll
All
make
right,
the
all in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. We're now on to, do we have, I'm not sure, is it Yvonne or
Yvonne
Yvonne?
Pentaha,
Yvonne
Hi.
Pentaha. Hi.
central office.
Hi. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's like pan, it's pantoja. It's pantoja.
Okay.
Yvonne,
Well,
you
first
got
of all,
it right.
thank you for presenting or coming to the meeting and to give us a presentation on Able. So it's all yours, Yvonne.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and just share my screen here just so that you all can see. As I mentioned to Shannon before, it's just going to be a very basic presentation on Able Now. And if you have any additional questions, we can always go through those together. Moment here, my beautiful screen is apparently frozen. Can you all see the screen?
Yes,
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, okay, good. All right. See. All right, there we go. All right. So what is Able Now? Able Now is the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, which is a tax advantage savings program for individuals with disabilities. It allows individuals to save and invest money without it impacting their state and federal benefits. So some key features of the Able Now accounts is first, I just kind of broke it on to subjects here. So the eligibility is for individuals whose disability began before age 26. And it, of course, depends also on the state. I believe the Able Connecticut, we're trying to push on increasing that age criteria. So that, could change, but that's for the Able in Connecticut. This is just the general overview of Able that means all these states that offer Able throughout the country. You can qualify if you're receiving SSI or SSDI, or you meet Social Security's disability criteria of a disability. Tax benefits, it has grow tax-free, your earnings grow tax-free, I should say. Oops, sorry. Withdrawals are tax-free when used for a qualified disability expense. Like education, housing, healthcare, transportation, anything that has to do with the individual's medical needs. Is exempted for SSI. So the balance, it has a limit up to $100,000. Anything above that will be, of course, considered a resource. So anything within that $100,000 is excluded. If the account exceeds $100,000, SSI may be suspended or terminated, but it really depends on the case, on income that the individual may be receiving or assets that the individual have outside of the Able Now account. So it depends on the case. And if it's just because of the Able, it will be suspended and it resumes when the balance goes back down. It is exempted completely for Medicaid eligibility. So it does not affect Medicaid at all. The contribution for the account, you can contribute up to $19,000. It increased to $19,000 from $18,000 last year. And if the individual is employed, they can have an able to work contribution, which lets the individual contribute almost double the amount. And contributions are flexible. It can be from the individual or family member, or it can come from a special needs trust, which just allows flexibility for the individual. It doesn't need to be just from the individual alone, which can be helpful. There are individuals that have parents who can contribute and help them out, so at least that won't affect them. There's spending flexibility as well, meaning that the individual can spend money from the Able Now accounts on rent, they can spend it on, if they have any prescriptions or if they have something, purchases to make in the store like Walmart or Target or anything like that, where, when you have a special needs trust, it really does have some rigid limitations on what the individual can spend their money in. And they also have a debit card, where as opposed to, of course, a special needs trust is just trust, so there's no debit card. So that also restricts the individual in their spending. So that's a good flexibility that the Able Now account has. And there's no residency requirement, meaning that they don't have to be a resident of Connecticut. They can open an Able Now account from either Virginia or Utah or a different Able account from another state. There are some important notes that I do want to share with the group in terms of the Able Now. So the Able Now account does not reduce countable income when determining Medicaid eligibility, meaning that sometimes the individual's income is above the limit, and some individuals believe that opening an Able account will reduce that if they put their money there. But that, unfortunately, that's not the way it works. They would need to reduce that income in another way. The Able Now is truly really for assets, not the income portion, unless there's some sort of pool trust established and put together with the Able Now. So the Able Now can fund a special needs trust and vice versa. It can also be used, funds can be used to establish a burial account if the individual is interested in having one. And depending on the case, funds from the Able account can pay an individual's funeral expenses when they pass away. And I say depending on the case because it truly depends on what the individual has established. If there's some sort of will, or if there is, besides the Able Now, some sort of trust that the individual has, stipulated what they want to do with that money. It all really depends on each case. But generally, it can pay for an individual's funeral expenses. And in Connecticut, the payback provision applies, meaning that the state Medicaid agencies can be repaid from that account for benefits that the individual received before they passed. With that, that's the end of that general basic overview for ABLE. So here is my contact information. If any of you would like to write it down, if you ever have any questions and would like to reach out to me, feel free. And I know it was very short, but the ABLE is pretty straightforward.
Well, what I'm going to do is typically I just go through sort of a round robin. In other words, I ask the members of the council if they have any questions. I'm going to start, Yvonne. The age is going to increase in January 1, 2026. So as of January 1, 2026, the age at which it would be 46 instead of 26. So anyone under the age of 46 and less can open up an ABLE account. Once again, they're going to meet disability, SSDI, SSI. Or I'm kind of curious, self-certify. That was my one question. Well, let me go back. Two questions, really. Do they ever waive the payback provision?
That's the big one.
Is there a way for the payback provision?
No,
I
waive.
apologize.
A
waive?
Waiver.
First off,
In other words, does
Can
the
you
state say?
describe what that means exactly?
Absolutely. So what it means is that an individual that is on Medicaid is attesting when they complete their DSS Medicaid applications that they need the assistance of the state because they don't have enough resources to be able to pay for their own care. So DSS establishes Medicaid, and Medicaid pays for the individual's, for example, waiver services. They pay for medical appointments and things like that. So overall, the individual is I'm trying to find like almost like borrowing. So we are, or not we, but the state is paying for this individual to receive services, medical services, but they're not really getting paid back. So when the individual passes away, if they do have a good amount of money in their ABLE or in a special needs trust, the stipulation is that money will be repaid back to the state as a way of, them getting some money back for all the money that they've paid and covered for that individual.
So it's essentially a clawback provision, correct? And I guess my question was going to be about that, that you said in Connecticut this is true. I believe it's true for all ABLE accounts, is it not?
So in some states, I've been advised that it doesn't apply. So some
Interesting.
states do not necessarily apply the payback provision.
Okay.
But in Connecticut, I know they do. So that's why I said in Connecticut, because I know in Connecticut it applies. But some other states actually don't really pursue it. If the individual had an ABLE account, they just let it go, which I was surprised to hear. And I hope that maybe one day Connecticut would probably follow that. But that's what I've been told.
And also, Marina, just to let you know, some states will only apply that to their citizens in the state. In other words, if you're an Ohio resident, you got to be a resident of Ohio. Because really, if somebody's in Connecticut getting, like my daughter has the stable account for Ohio. All right. So why did I do that? Because it was first to market.
Right.
Connecticut didn't have one at the time. So now, but she's a resident of Connecticut. She's getting Medicaid from Connecticut. So even if Ohio said we don't claw back the money, well, Ohio can't tell the state of Connecticut what to do. So the state of Connecticut can claw back the money if there's money in her ABLE account, which, by the way, when I advise clients, I tell them use the ABLE account as a conduit account. Just spend the money. I mean, don't spend your trust money.
When these were first being developed, I was part of one of those committees for the state, and one of those discussions was if you would like an ABLE account, they were sort of saying there are spenders and there are savers, and those were presentations from the early adopter states who developed these, and the idea of are you just putting some money in and then using it as your daily living checking account, or essentially, which is the use of that debit card or checkbook, which is one way many people use it, and others are you trying to accumulate savings. And that was one of the risks of if you end up with $99,000 in your ABLE account, and then when the individual does die, Medicaid has the ability to claw back that money. And so you're going, wow, is that where I want to leave my money in case something happens? Anyway, just a factor.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Huge factor.
Well,
for sure. And that's why, for some people, they're like, hey, they've got no more than $5,000 or $2,000 at any time because they're putting it in from their income and they're spending it immediately. So it's kind of a low running balance versus somebody who's using it as a savings place, which isn't wrong. It's just a factor. But Chuck, your point is really interesting that it makes you, it creates an incentive to not use your own state's ABLE account.
Well, it doesn't. Well, I don't know. Once again, the state, for example, if the state of, for example, in Georgia, if the ABLE account is less than $25,000, they don't pursue it. Person dies, they're not going to pursue it. However, they can't tell Connecticut what to do. Right. If you're a resident of Connecticut, and let's say you have a Georgia ABLE account, and by the way, some states like Florida, you can only have a Florida ABLE account if you're a resident of Florida. So there are different rules throughout the different jurisdictions, but no other state can say to Connecticut, sorry, we don't enforce the clawback in Georgia. Well, but my daughter's not a resident of Georgia, so Connecticut could claw back the money. By the way, the average balance in an ABLE account as of 2024 is $11,600.
Yeah, who's got $100,000 for an ABLE's account?
I've never seen. There may be some outlier where they save the money. But most attorneys and people who advise people with ABLE accounts, it's the following process. If you have a third-party trust, if you have a third-party trust, a first-party trust, and an ABLE account, well, you're going to spend the first-party trust and the ABLE account first because they have clawback provisions. A third-party trust doesn't have a clawback provision. Right. So it depends on who you're working with, etc. So the way my daughter uses it, by the way, it's kind of it's insignificant, really. Don't put a lot of money into it. She likes to go and pay her Starbucks coffee with the ABLE card, right? So it gives her a sense of, she goes, she pays for her Starbucks coffee. She loves handing it to the person. She gets all excited. We tell, because she's nonverbal and all that. We go, did you pay for it? And she goes, yeah. She does the sign language sign. Yeah, she paid for it, etc. So that's what we do with it. We let her buy food. etc. It's not funding her life, beyond that, that's, or bowling, go pay for some bowling, things of that nature. Um, I mean, there are some interesting planning ideas with able accounts. People will shove money into an able account and then pay their attorney fees with it, or the special needs trust, because you can use it for fiscal management. You can use it to pay an accountant to put the person's tax return together. So typically, my experience anyway, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Ask other people, but my experience is do not get to $100,000, and typically they're spent first before any of the other monies get spent. That's usually that's my experience with them anyway. So
So the
Uh, so-
benefit is you can have more than the cap for Social Security, what is it, the 1,200 or whatever? Now you can't have more.
1,600.
Yeah, that you can't have more than
1,600.
that. So this is a way to have more than that if necessary.
Well, if you don't have enough money to do a special needs first, well, there's two other types of trusts, right? There's a first party trust. That's the disabled person's own money.
Mhm.
Big brain damaged baby, right? And that's in a trust. That's a clawback, payback provision. Or you don't have a third party trust, which is someone else's money in a trust for the benefit of the disabled person, the supplemental special needs trust. So if you don't have those two things, well, the next thing is the ABLE account. And you can put income into the ABLE account. You can earn some money, you could grow. It could be a saver, right? As Marina points out. But remember, it only is going to get paid back on death. That's number one, right? Number two is that Yvonne, right? You can do a prepaid burial. You can do for burial expenses.
Mhm.
You can come to Yvonne. I'm sure she'll be very nice, and you can ask her about, can we offset some of our funeral expenses for the person? I'm sure the state of Connecticut wants the person buried, right? So, unless the person has millions of dollars laying around somewhere else, I don't think they're going to turn down that type of request. You know, um, so that's my feeling with Able. I think they're really great, and they're going to expand it to people up to 50, 46. But our population is all 22 and under usually.
Yeah, and Charles, those are very, very good points that you pointed out there. Absolutely, you can do. That's the beauty of the ABLE account, is that you have the flexibility to do all these things with it. So it's very helpful to have something as flexible as the ABLE now, which is why I think it's become the number one option for individuals to go to. It takes very minimum to set it up, and it takes almost no time to set it up. You don't require, per se, a lawyer to set it up, and a lot of our individuals do not have a lot of money, so it's nice that they're able to sort of, create an account that they can save a little bit of money, and it won't affect either Medicaid or SSI, since they both have different asset resource limits. So.
And Shannon, you had your hand up.
You're muted,
Maybe.
Shannon.
Yes, thank you. Is there a detailed list of what's allowable? I know you had a few lines, but just in terms of what's acceptable, what it could be spent on, is that information available anywhere, or?
Yeah, I
how could
believe
a
that that's
parent get that?
detailed in the, I apologize, sorry. Yes, Shannon, I believe that's detailed in their web, but I am happy to send you the link and so that you can have that information for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, great question.
There's
And then I
also
just,
a National Able Clearinghouse, by the way. There's an Able organization, just like there's organizations for everything. You can go out there, and they'll talk about cases, etc. Now, of course, if you talk to the attorneys at these special needs conferences, they kind of push the envelope with what's what's eligible for, what's an expense.
Mhm.
Anyway, so Shannon, we'll get back to you. Then there was Arlene. I think you raised your hand, Arlene.
Yes, yes. So I came in a little late here, but so let's say my daughter lives in a group home and she goes over her $1,600 that she's allowed. Do I always have to spend down, or could I create an ABLE account and put that money that she's over in an ABLE account?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know.
Shannon?
Just curious, you had said the callback piece and there was a lot of discussion about that. But let's say there's no callback and there's some funds left. Can there be a beneficiary assigned? Does it have to go through probate? Where does that money go? Back to the estate if the person passes?
If there's no payback to the
If there's
state,
no payback and there's money left over in the ABLE account, is there like a beneficiary or how does that get managed through probate when the estate goes through probate?
Charles, confirm if I'm wrong, because I know that you set up the ABLE account for your daughter, and I just want to make sure that I'm saying, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there is an option for the individual to list who the beneficiary will be, and then that's what they follow if there is no
Yes.
money. Okay.
Yeah,
I just
it's-
wanted to
yeah.
be clear.
So,
Just like a
so
fir-
back to your point, Charles, you began it by saying, can it be waived? Did
Well,
yours
that
get
was
waived?
some states give discretion to whoever
Okay.
runs the ABLE program in their state to waive the payback provision. Okay. Some states just say they do a hard cap. They say, well, if it's under 25,000, we're not chasing the money, right? Because remember, there's time and effort. Someone's got to track it down. Someone's got to do this. I mean, it's not just poof. It just doesn't get sucked into the state coffers. So some states do that. But as to Shannon's point, if the person doesn't owe money to Medicaid, let's assume there's no clawback, payback, whatever you want to say. Well, they're just like a first party special needs trust. After Medicaid is satisfied, and if Medicaid says, well, you don't owe us any money, I assume you get a waiver, and then boom, it goes to the beneficiaries of the first party, brothers, sisters, whoever the case may be.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Do we have any other questions by the way, Yvonne, is there it said a basic presentation. Is there like a super complicated presentation?
That was
To
complicated enough for me.
I try to keep it as basic as possible. So right now there isn't. I've been trying to establish a connection with the ABLE now because I wanted them to come in and present for us so that these type of complicated questions that are a little bit more in depth that they'll be able to answer since they are the experts on the account. But I have not been successful, and I've tried a couple different ways, and I still haven't been able to connect with them. But I will still try, and I'll let Shannon know if I do get someone so that I can pass it along, and you can attend if you'd like. In terms of Medicare that was mentioned earlier, I didn't want to interrupt, but feel free to reach out to me if you do have any Medicare questions. There is a training that it's available for everyone who is willing to take it and assist. I believe it's about $125 to take the training, and I am actually going through that training right now myself. So it talks everything about Medicare, eligibility periods, what if Medicare, original Medicare versus the Medicare Advantage program or Advantage plan, and the providers, the in-network, out of network. It's very, 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 very detailed. So I would just premise by saying you have to pace yourself because it really does have a lot of information.
Wow.
So it's from Choices. I'm not sure if you are familiar with Choices. So it's a resource out there for you if you'd like to take that training for Medicare and learn more about it. And
Yvonne, is that where you get an AHIP?
Is
Well,
that
the
is that where?
AHIP, by the way. But just so you know, people who sell Medicare have to be certified and licensed, right? So there's the state license, but they got to get a certification and have to recertify every year. So it's something called the AHIP. They call it an AHIP. I don't know what it stands for, but you go through this whole training about open enrollment, special enrollment periods, D-SNAPs, this SNAP, that SNAP, Medicare Advantage, original Medicare, the donut hole, blah, 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 blah. All it is just, like you said, it's very, very, it's time consuming. But
yes. And I would be certified in the end for it.
Okay, all right.
I don't sell it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not
That's
selling
all
any
right.
insurance. I'm not
Understood.
an insurance broker, but it's just you're certified through the state health insurance assistance program through SHIP, And
Okay.
and you would be certified to basically assist with Medicare and assist in enrollment for Medicare. So I would be certified to assist in all of those questions. I'm not saying that I would be assisting you in enrollment. I'm just saying that
Correct.
I
Got
can
it.
be of assistance.
Shannon, you had your hand up, and then Arlene.
So just two things, Yvonne, maybe we could have that information and Eunice could share that with the group, the
course.
training. And just a question, is there interest paid on the ABLE accounts?
That was the one thing that I should have mentioned also. All the different state plans, by the way, are run by different investment companies. So there might be Fidelity, Vanguard, JP Morgan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Like, for example, in Virginia, it's the American Funds, the Capital Group. There are very limited choices in ABLE accounts. Unlike 529 plans, you're probably all familiar with education 529 plans, where you might have 30 choices and target date funds and all this other stuff. In ABLE accounts, there might only be 4 or 5 choices. And there also might be a stability account or a guaranteed account where you get interest, but it's not going to be a lot. And also there's fees, just so you know. There might be a maintenance fee or there might be a monthly fee. So each plan is a little different. You got to look at it. Some plans do not come with debit cards, by the way. Some plans you have to like call up and get the money into your checking, into a bank account. And then you have to have obviously a debit card to use the bank account. They're not uniform at all. So you just need to investigate which plan might be best for you. But I would suggest to get a debit card. That's what the people, with they empowers them with their ability to go out and spend the money.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Yvonne?
Well, I have one.
Arlene, I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah. Well, now let me think. Oh, I didn't see the overhead that you projected, and I was wondering if it can be sent by Eunice, if you have a way of sending us your overview of the ABLE account that you projected, which you did, right? I just didn't get it or see it.
Absolutely. I'm happy to.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
All right.
Well,
Well, Yvonne, we appreciate your sharing.
Marina's
knowledge
hand
with
is
us.
up. Marina.
Oh, Marina, I'm sorry. I'm on my little iPhone here and it doesn't show.
Oh.
Marina, go ahead. Fire away.
Thank you, Karen, for being the helpful, person with good vision. So I was just going to add one other thing that I was told by a financial advisor, which is that so right now we're in the Virginia ABLE, which has a really annoying fee structure of $3.25 for every transfer, which I find just abysmal. But anyway, that aside, I was informed that there is a state tax deduction for if somebody is is paying taxes in any way, like if they're working. They could a state tax deduction for the first $5,000 a year that they put in the ABLE account. If you're using if you're living in Connecticut and you're using Connecticut's ABLE specifically. So just thought I would pass that little tidbit on as well.
Yes, and the other thing you mentioned, the other thing I tell my clients, just go open up your own ABLE account, by the way. I don't really want to do it for you. You might say, well, that's mean of me. And it's not mean of me. Well, the only ABLE account I can open up is, guess which one, Marina? Virginia. Why? Why Virginia? Because the American Funds is, I think, one of the, I think so far, to my knowledge, is the only one that will compensate a financial advisor. So you're paying a sales charge. And so I just tell the client, just go open up there's not that much choices. I mean, it's not like you're picking, the latest stock in a tariff war.
But
I mean, there's like 4 or 5 options.
Point,
That's it.
It is worth comparing the fee structure.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, Connecticut's has a flat rate of depending on the balance, and Virginia, like I told you, has this stupid $3.25 for every transfer, which adds up. And so if you're transferring money in and then you're paying rent with that money, let's say, or doing something with it, every transfer in or out.
Mhm.
And so Connecticut's is actually more affordable, and we'll roll that over shortly.
Right.
But anyway, and I don't even know what Ohio's or any other states are. So it is definitely worth looking at a bunch of them to be sure which one you want to go to.
Oh, and you get the tax deduction. So there you go. All right. Karen, did I miss anyone else's hand up?
Not that I could see.
All right. Well, Yvonne, once again, thank you very much. Now we know
Thank you.
somebody, we've got an email address, and I'm sure we'll bombard you with 1,000 emails a day. Going
And I would
forward.
love that. I would love nothing more, I promise. So thank you all for having me today. Thank you very much for your generosity. You've been so, so kind. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you all.
Thank you so much for
Thank you very
coming.
much.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
Thank
day.
you.
Very
Thank you.
informative. Thank you.
All right, now on to the chair's report. I really don't have a report. By the way, I think it's great, Eunice, that you sent, or Shannon, whoever thought up the idea of sending us out the bill tracker. I do like that. So I actually look at it. So just to let you know, it's not like an email that gets boom deleted. I do look at it and see where the different pieces of legislation stand. I'm just waiting to see if the Medicaid, the disabled adult child legislation gets passed to conform with what people on a Medicaid waiver, their income levels. Whereas if you're not on a Medicaid waiver, you can get kicked off of Medicaid. But that's still pending in the legislature, so we'll see where that goes. But I don't have a chair's report. I have failed you all.
You're excused.
All right, so Shannon, you got to take over the meeting now. It's up to you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Eunice, can you share the supported housing flyer, please? So what I wanted to share tonight, I've been talking about supported housing in the region. We are about to kick off our second project in the West region. It is going to be in Cheshire on Highland Avenue, which is basically Route 10. The supporting agency will be Southington ARC. We're starting to process and market this information with our case managers and families. I just got this flyer at the beginning of the week. I've gotten this out to everybody. We're going to be working on next steps in terms of marketing this program. So they're going to start taking official applications June 2025. If anybody's interested, or if you're aware of anybody, please get the word out. They would need to go through their placement resource allocation team, the PrAP meeting. We're looking for individuals that either are ready to move out of a group home. We're also looking for individuals that are currently living at home. You do not need to fall in the category of having money or being an emergency. This is an initiative that the department has agreed to fund. So, Eunice, I think there's page 2. You could see the photos of the development here. And just a little bit more about the program. They'll be heavily involved in assistive technology, assessing each individual to seek the benefits of what technology can offer nowadays. So there's going to be 71 units in this project. 12 of them are going to be single bedrooms dedicated to DDS folks, and there's going to be 3 2-bedroom apartments available. So in total, there'll be 15 units. There are some basic requirements that financial requirements in terms of income that will need to be met that will be determined, but it's pretty exciting. It's a great opportunity for any individual that may, fit into this type of setting. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely a great program. And like I said, you don't have to have funding assigned to you. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. I wanted to pick the group's brain in terms of marketing this out to families. We're meeting with case managers, our helpline, our management staff. I have the executive director from the agency coming to do an overview, but wanted to pick your brain on the best way to get this out to families, because I don't want to miss anybody that may, be a helpline person that, is in amongst many individuals and not at the top of the list, or somebody that we're not thinking of. So any thoughts, any ideas, whether now or later, would be greatly appreciated.
I have
I have a
2 words.
question, Jen.
Sure.
2 words, social media.
Yeah,
I
Facebook
conclude my
groups.
statement.
yeah, right. The really
Mickey,
active.
go ahead. Sorry,
special
sorry to
needs
interrupt
No,
you.
that's okay.
Mickey, go.
No, how many units total are in the development and how many units are
71.
and how many are set aside for this project?
12 one-bed units and 3 two-bed units.
Okay, so the 2-bed implies maybe having a roommate or a couple?
Yes, correct.
Okay, great. I would start with group home managers in the various provider agencies right now. Let them know that this option is soon becoming available. And, let them identify some possible candidates who might be interested in a less restrictive, more private living arrangement.
Okay, definitely we'll look at that, as well as DDS has the Facebook page as far as social media. I don't know if DDS has Instagram. I'm not that familiar with Instagram or Snapchat. I just do Facebook on
Well,
occasion.
I think the parent Facebook groups might be more useful because not everybody is signed in to look at DDS's stuff.
That's a great point. I do believe we have Adriana Ramirez from Connecticut Family Support Network on the call. So Adriana, maybe that's
Right.
something you and I can chat about, because I know you have a lot of lists out there that you're in touch with people on.
And you'll see when Shannon Giacovino posts something of interest, it goes out on Walt Glom's page, it goes out on that Connecticut Special Needs Families, da, 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 da. It's got like 5 more words in it, but you know what I mean. Super active and commonly read, so that would be a way to get it out. Can you also contact people who are already on the residential waiting list who might find this a good option?
We could, that, I'm just trying to think the easiest
You're
way.
like, uh-oh.
That would probably best be done through case managers in terms of reaching out to their folks. I love these ideas. I never thought about social media, which maybe because I'm older. Shannon Giacovino, I was just with her last night. We were visiting a CCH setting with some individuals that were extremely medically complex. I wanted her to see that, and never even dawned on me. So that's a fantastic idea.
Yep, and the
Shannon,
DDS newsletter.
I would also like to suggest, since it's going to be in Cheshire, maybe contact Abilities Without Boundaries in Cheshire, which has individuals with disabilities who work there and have day programs there, because people do tend to like to have a residence that's in their area.
Excellent point. Great idea. And I think I might even expand that further, looking at other day programs that we may have in Cheshire, but that's a fairly large one. And you're absolutely right. People don't like to change their day program if they love it. So you gave me some great ideas. Thank you, RAC members. That's what you're here for.
Here to help.
The other thought is, I know a lot of towns have special needs committees or special needs groups, like Bristol does, Wolcott does, et cetera, Special Olympics stuff.
Oh yeah, the commissions.
Yeah, all that. Just start. You could contact the various local organizations that the towns may sponsor and get the word out that way.
Okay, these are great ideas, because I think when
That's
we
a
did
great point. I mean, when we had, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step
No,
on
go
you.
ahead, go ahead.
When we were at in some Special Olympics events, there were sign up sheets for CCHs there
Mhm.
because when they were trying to fill a bunch of CCH spots, there was a table with, are you interested? Sign here for more information
Mhm.
at the Special Olympics bowling competition. So creative. You could do the same.
Can I ask Adriana a question, even though she's the guest right now?
Oh, I don't know, Shannon. Let me. Yeah,
Shut this
gotcha.
down, Charles. Shut this down. What do you-
That's right.
Well, I just don't want to violate any rules. But my question is, I know you have your event coming up, which you'll speak of next week. Is the Special Olympics and Best Buddies have a table there?
I'm waiting to connect. They called me back. I don't know if Special Olympics is going to have a table or not, but I'll know tomorrow. Best Buddies, I did not connect with them, but it looks like potentially Special Olympics will be there. And social media is a big thing because it gets shared a lot. So between the DDS newsletter, the we will happily share it through, all our email list, our social media. And we are, I don't want to sound like we're tooting our own horn, but we are really good at social media. When we post things, you'd be surprised how many other organizations will share out what we post. And not only our other disability organizations, but towns will actually share to their pages and what we share out because that people are connected a lot to resources, but all the ideas, it takes everyone, and it's as much as you can get it out there, especially locally to Cheshire, the Waterbury, those kind of areas that are surrounding Cheshire, to the point of the day programs and things like that that are in that area.
Well, what I was thinking of, maybe at one of the tables, maybe I can look to the CCH table as well.
was gonna
Just
say
have
the
some
CCH table.
brochures posted or printed. Eunice, maybe we can work on that this week, so I'll have them on the
Yeah, because we
24th
have
when I
people
attend that.
coming from all over, so definitely, if you could bring some brochures on the project and even a sign-up sheet if anybody's curious to get more information. So that way you're able to capture those individuals and connect with them.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry if I
You're
stepped
welcome.
out of line with the rules, Charles.
Well, don't worry, we'll report you.
Okay.
That's not a worry.
So anyways, thank you so much for that feedback, because those are a lot of areas I wasn't even thinking. And I know we work internally with DDS, but sometimes I'm concerned it's not getting beyond, like, when we have our case management meetings, are they just looking at their caseload? What about all those people on the helpline? So thank you. The next topic I wanted to just let you know about was I had been talking about the RFP that the West Region is facilitating for the 10 CLA group homes that are going to be 3 in each region and 1 centrally located for a total of 10. We had the RFP posted on April 7th. It was released on Connecticut Source. I'm looking at my timeline here that same day. We requested letters of intent from any vendor that was interested in coming to the proposers conference, which we held on the 14th. So we did get some providers there to come and see if they're interested, ask their questions, seek packets, and then would meet with individuals to see if those are any developments that they wanted to do. So we did have vendors come to that, so that was good. So we'll wait and see the next step. There's a period of time that they get to ask questions and meet folks, and then they actually have to submit their proposal by June 13th. And then the committees for the different regions will be reviewing the proposals and make a selection and making a recommendation to the commissioner. And then following that, they have a period of time to seek out property and do the development piece, which can take some time now with the property situation. We've been struggling around that. So wanted to give you that update. Wanted to let you know that there's going to be an ID partnership day up at Camp Harkness for individuals and families on May 23rd. There's going to be a flyer that's going to be released soon. We'll make sure this group gets it. It's going to be 10 to 3. There's going to be vendors. There's going to be food. There's going to be music. So hopefully we'll have a good day. I know it's far for the West region, and it is during the day, but it is a good event for folks to attend. The other topic, and I know Adriana will talk about it, is her One Voice conference is going to be on April 24th. I went last year. It was a fabulous event. Tons of families attended, majority of families, some service providers, other interested folks in a variety of tables, which I found very interesting. And I think the families did. There was a lot of networking and a lot of resource sharing. Chuck mentioned the bill tracker. I'm not going to get into detail on that, except for one bill that seems to be of particular interest to some of our families in our public operated facilities and group homes is the House Bill 6487, where Representative Datham down in the Lower Fairfield area has put a bill forward to do a cost analysis between public and private. So obviously the concern from the public individual the families who are supported by public are concerned about that and what that's going to highlight given the cost difference at times. She came down and Representative Datham and did a 2-hour tour down at the Lower Fairfield Center, had a lot of questions, wasn't even aware that it had existed, thought it was offices. So it was nice to show her what the program offers, because it's not only just the, the 24/7 living units. We have the respite center that serves a lot of our families in the community that have individuals living at home. We have the sensory room, which was developed through ARPA funding that is available to anybody and everybody. As long as you sign up ahead of time, you can come in. It's really neat. It's really, really neat if you ever get an opportunity. And people are coming in from the outside using it as well as our public folks. So that was nice that she was able to spend some time and just see the different services that DDS has, both private and, public. We're still in the region dealing with the transition of public programs coming back into the region. As you're aware, this region absorbed the Northwest Regional Center and the Lower Fairfield Center and the one group home that we have in Watertown. So I'm just trying to acclimate myself with visiting and getting to know those units. We're dealing with significant staffing shortages in our public programs that do pay considerably more than our private sector. So it just goes to show you the whole staffing situation is extremely difficult at many levels. And with the public programs, I mean, we're talking more hourly rate of pay and benefits that are fantastic. But a lot of mandations down there, a lot of overtime, because positions can't be filled. Right now, we are in a partial freeze. I had talked about that at our last meeting. What that means is they're looking at our seasonal positions first, the camps and the lifeguard positions. And then they're going to be looking at our direct care positions. All other positions have been put on hold unless it's a direct care type of position. So we're going to have to struggle through this. I had hoped that it was going to be till the end of the fiscal year, but not so sure anymore. We're also under constraints in certain accounts, just in terms of even office supplies, maintenance repairs. So we're watching every penny. I think that was it for my updates at this point. I don't know if there's any questions for me. And we do have 30 emergencies right now on our list that we need, that are in desperate need of placement, that we're struggling through. We just don't have the vacancies or the manpower to take them on. As well as our elderly caregiver initiative, we have lots of folks that were granted funding but just can't find a place to move into. So that's my
It's
report.
depressing, Shannon. 30 emergency cases?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Well, a lot of things. Either they end up, unfortunately in a hospital and we have to work with the hospital. The hospitals provide a lot of put a lot of pressure on us to get folks out. I think they think we just have these homes waiting for people, not the case. So sometimes we're able to support the family with some in-home supports. We do have a, resource team in IFS and what we also call our CRT team, which is a private contract where we'll have them go into the family home to help, whether it be they need assistance with medical appointments, behavioral supports. There's a psychologist on that team. So we meet quite frequently to discuss our emergencies and look at each one almost individually to figure out how we can best support the family. Working with providers to maybe not take somebody on permanently, maybe just respite them, get to know them, and then maybe they'll accept them. Sometimes we're looking to increase bed capacity in some of our homes. So it's there's a lot of pressure on our emergencies. And then the hospitals on the other end who are holding, you know, they're feeling their pressure because the person's ready for discharge. Like, why can't you place them? So,
Right. I'm gonna take better care of myself then.
yes,
Jeez.
we want you to take care of yourself,
Well, I have,
regardless of my emergency situation in the West region.
God.
Gotta live
Yeah.
forever, babe.
it's a good thing
All
to
right.
do. You know, I've said before at these meetings and other forums, you know, we have a caregiver crisis in our world of disabilities. It probably already exists in elder care, may extend to the medical hospitals, so forth. But, you know, I mean, we can't really project what's going on in the economy, but if the economy does go into a recession, then, you know, the pony in the pile is that may relieve some of the workforce shortages in our state and country. But it's not a good way to get there, you know. But it's a sad situation. We're not in a good place, so we all have to kind of hang in and do the best we can to use the resources and availability of staff that we have, and not overserve people who want to live more independently. And that's why I commend the project up there in Southington, and rework the system to make it as efficient as possible. I guess that's the best choice. Not
Just
easy.
another comment on that. What we're also, to answer, going back to Karen's question also, is our community companion home program. That is something that we're really working on to take more complex people. I had mentioned earlier that I had met Shannon Giacovino yesterday, and in this particular home, this woman had 3 individuals, 2 of which are very medical. She brought them in as babies from the hospital special care. Now one is 29, the other individual is 21, and the other individual is 19. 2 of the women need significant care. I mean, G and a J tube and catheterization. They're in wheelchair, full care. And we're piloting that home because initially we weren't able to convert it to a CCH because of our rules and regulation and nursing tasks and all that. But Shannon and the deputy commissioner came to visit it yesterday, and the dedication, I mean, the consistency of care. There's a staff that comes in to help support this licensee who's been with her for 22 years. DCF did do some renovations. They put an elevator in this home. They ramped the home. They added an extra room. So they did a lot of things that DDS typically doesn't do, but was able to keep. I mean, for decades, this woman has taken care of these women successfully.
Mm.
So, I mean, and you could feel the, you know, when you go in there, it's just a whole great vibe. Sorry, Marina,
No worries. So let's avoid getting political, but I will say that in the press, we've seen articles about programs closing, some local, some elsewhere in the country, and all at the federal level, CMS pieces being broken up and either shut down. One headline was, agency that helps individuals with disabilities live in, with residential life in the community is being shut down, and then it looked more like being broken up but divided everywhere. Are you seeing any impacts from any of this yet, or not?
Not yet. Jordan, during a recent meeting had brought up a particular, federal office. I don't know if I'm gonna have the initials right. I want to say it was IHEAP, which is an agency that, provides federal funding down to the state level that helps with energy and oil. And, apparently the folks in that unit that were the federal employees were let go, but the division remains open, and there's, from what I understand, there's not staff assigned, and how that was gonna affect as it rolled down to the state level. So that was brought up to us the other day, as well as some block grants, although I don't have the details of which ones we may see some impact, but we haven't yet.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to have one question, which is, I remember a couple of years ago, it was, instead of the caregiver crisis, it was funding, right? Not enough money, not enough money for the transition for college, for high school grad, or people graduating out of the school system, et cetera, et cetera. I know there's committee studies being done to redefine how intellectual disability is defined in the state of Connecticut. So instead of a hard, I want to say somewhat simple, if you have an IQ under 7 or 69 or less, potentially you may get services, or Prader-Willi syndrome. Right? That's the statute. Is there any movement on that? Is there any studies? I know there's one study that's out. The consultants came out with the study. How that would affect the budget, cost? Would it expand the population and suddenly double or triple the number of people getting services? Just make your job easier, Shannon? Or would it make people less? Anything on that at all, or is that another couple of years away from?
I have not heard anything on that at all. It is a concern, though, if they expand the definition. What does that mean? Does the money get expanded with that? So no, we haven't gotten any information on that.
Okay.
I did want to bring up, just in line what Mickey was saying about the caregiver crisis. And next month, we are going to have a presenter come and speak about that campaign. They're getting ready to release that to do a lot more heavy recruitment. So she'll give us more information. I even think they're doing billboards. So hopefully that will reap and help us get some staff, but it's tough out there. When you look at Indeed, when you compare DDS to other agencies, other types of agencies, our pay scale is just considerably lower. And there's so many jobs posted, agencies, it's agency after agency. I just recently have been looking just to see, and it's like, wow.
Aaron?
Yeah, so the whole issue, that I'm hearing about from my clients who have transitioned out is the more compromised the child, the more the child needs one-to-one. There's just no place for them to go, and they're home right now. And there's a lot of them, and they keep posting on the Facebook sites. They don't see an end in sight. One mom says her son has been home for 6 years now because she can't get into a place where there's one-to-one, or the child is incontinent, or he's a real bad behavior issue. Her son happens to be 2-to-1. So he definitely is pretty aggressive. But, I see more of those kids coming down the pike from my advocacy in the school system. And it's frightening because, so many of these kids need one-to-one. I know there's a staffing shortage, but what are these kids going to do if there's no place that will take them? Because obviously, if you're an agency, you're going to take the easier kid. but there's so many of these kids coming down the pike that I see. And I can remember when my son was first diagnosed in 96, 97, something like that. And, we didn't know there was going to be a huge onslaught, but when it came, we weren't ready. And now we're still going through this and we're still not ready. So I'm sorry to be the voice of doom, but I advocate in the school systems and it's very scary and the hospitals are bursting at the seam and they're starting to push back. So I don't know what the answer is, but something's got to give. And our friend in Washington is not helping this situation at all. Anyway, that's me.
All right, Mickey, I think you had a hand up.
No, that's all right. I'll put my hand down. I don't want to go there.
All right, and so Shannon, are you? Great report, by the way. Excellent presentation.
Thanks. Sorry, it
even though
wasn't
you-
more positive. One of these
even though you
days.
didn't have a PowerPoint, and a couple of memos to send out ahead of time.
I had 2 plaques in my office.
Oh, well, there you go.
Charles, with all due respect, you could have done that presentation today. I mean, really, you knew a lot about this subject.
Well, I do, but what we really needed is someone from the state,
Mhm.
right? Somebody from the state. They run. I mean, they're the ones who run the program, right?
Yeah,
The able account in Connecticut. Marina could probably have done the
Yeah,
presentation. She
right.
was on the committee.
both of you.
Yeah,
Well,
she
that's
was on-
why you guys are leading our RAC.
Yeah, she was on the committee with that. But we have a guest, and unless there's any new or old business, which usually there isn't, why don't we move on to our other guest? I think, Shanna, you mentioned that our guest has something to tell us about some upcoming conference, I believe. Is that right, or am I wrong?
That would be Adriana from Connecticut
Yes.
Family Support Network.
Adriana, the floor is
Hello.
yours.
Oh, thank you. So thank you, everyone. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to talk about One Voice, our annual conference for parents and caregivers. And of course, professionals are always invited. We are still open for registration. I'm hoping to close registrations at the end of tomorrow. It's happening next Thursday in North Haven at the Clarion Inn. And we are having information keynote. We are having 2 breakout sessions, one parenting styles, and the other one is a compassion fatigue burnout. And then we are also hosting a self-advocate panel talking about resilience, because our conference this year is around resilience and building inner strength. We will have, as Shannon mentioned, vendor tables, resource tables as well. And our conference will be held both in English and Spanish at the same time. So we're excited to invite you to come join us. We always have a really good time. This year, I know pretty much all the presenters are very excited to have an interactive conversation with participants. So there's a lot of opportunity for networking, getting to know other parents, caregivers, or maybe those that you've only seen on Zoom or Teams. We see that a lot every year where people finally get to meet face to face. So it's a great opportunity to connect in community. So I will put the link in the chat, and then I'll touch base really quick. Carter and Mary Pat are doing that community messenger campaign, and CTFSN will also be running a workshop with them next month. I don't remember the date right now, but we will be running a workshop so they can present to our community about the community messenger for that campaign for the direct support professionals among our 10 support groups a month and 6 to 7 workshops a month.
Okay, any questions?
So register, you're welcome to join us.
All right, Mickey, you have your hand up.
No, that's from before. I
Wait,
didn't know
your
how to-
hand's up, you gotta ask a question. Come on.
I didn't know how to turn it off. I'm done.
All right. Any questions for Adriana? Gil, Lori, Pauline, Sue, Ariana, Karen, Shannon. Mickey still has his hand up.
Doesn't
He's
count.
in more trouble than you, Shannon. So don't worry.
How do you turn it off?
Hit the hand
All right.
again and it'll flip down. It'll toggle down, toggle off.
There you go.
Thank you. Every day that you learn something is a good day.
That's right. All right. Well, with that, is there anyone else want to bring anything up to the advisory council at all? Because we're coming to the end of our meeting.
I just want to thank you for all your ideas on how to market the supported housing. I appreciate it because it was definitely beyond what I was even thinking. Had no idea. So appreciate that. That's what you're here for. Help me
All
out.
And Eunice, there's nobody from the public on outside of Adriana.
No.
Well, with that, anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
I
I
move
will
to
make that.
adjourn.
All right. So, well, one of you is first, one of you is second. Eunice, you can pick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Our meeting is duly adjourned. Thank you for
Thank
thanks
you.
for attending,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Have a
everybody.
great night.
Right.
Enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah.
Happy Easter.
Happy
Happy
Easter.
Happy Easter,
Bye.
right? Happy Easter.
Bye now.
Hi. You're on mute. You're on mute, Arlene.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm wondering, I don't want this taped because Eunice tapes the meetings, so I want to
Oh.
make sure. Let me just call her to make sure the tape recording's off. Hi, I'm on with Arlene. I just wanted to make sure the tape recording was off. Can I tell? Is there some way I can tell? Wait a minute, I did it. I stopped it.